questions? Okay, what I'm going to do is simply talk about the streets that we're going to be spending the money on for this upcoming budget year. So the capital projects, first of all, the MARF hearing amount is $374,621.73, and portions of that money will be spent on Valleywood Court, which will be a concrete street replacement project, Carriage Hill Drive, which will be a concrete street replacement project with new sidewalks and drains. A portion of it will be spent on Delphi Drive, concrete replacement, sidewalks and drains. Mesa Drive, which is concrete replacement, sidewalks and drains. And Hickory Lane, concrete replacement with sidewalks and drains. So those streets, the capital money expenditures will be $2,225,000, of which $374,621.73 of the MARF money will be spent. At this time, does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you. That concludes our hearing.
Good evening. I now call the March 3rd, 2020 regular meeting of the City Council to order. The invocation tonight is going to be given by B.J. Donahue from the Erlanger Baptist Church. B.J., if you'd like to come to the podium, and there's a little green button. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to come and to open this meeting. I've been at Erlanger Baptist for about 2.5 years, and getting to know the community. This is actually my first time at a city council meeting, so I'm glad to have the opportunity to come and to pray. And as I think about our church and the relationship with this community, I thought about just different things and ways that we desire to support this community, and our desire is to do that more and more. We do Whiz Kids, which is a school program with Lindemann. We have an Upward basketball program. If you ever drive by there on a Saturday morning right now, it's absolute mayhem. And it's an awesome event with about 135 kiddos and families. We do VBS. We do a fall family thing. We go to the Erlanger Ellesmere block party. We do tailgating. We have the farmers market, as you know. We work with Howell. We're a polling location. We're in talks with Kenton County Schools to do a summer program. This summer, we do health screenings. We're hosting this coming Monday, and I'll invite you guys out to the Lloyd Band and Choir concert that's going to be there. We've had the Dixie Heights High School concert there as well. We work with Todd Rice, who's one of our own, and Becky Strauss in meeting needs in the community and desire to do that more. Work with United Christian Volunteers. And we just want you to know that we love this community, and we want to be used by this community. We want to bless this community. God has put us here for that purpose. And as I think about each one of you all have been put on this council for a purpose. And you are to serve this community just as we seek to serve it spiritually. You are to serve it with humility and service. And we have an awesome opportunity. We live in a chance right now where the decisions that you all make can shape decades of where we go. And we have great potential in this community. And there are a lot of great people in this community. And so I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I want to pray for you all. So you pray with me. Father, we do come to you tonight. And Father, I am grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the city of Erlanger, for the opportunity that each one of us has to participate in what goes on in this city that many claim as a home for a very long time, and some of us claim just for a very short time. And yet there is great work to be done. There are needs that need to be met. There are decisions and wisdom that needs to be granted. And so, Father, I just ask right now that as this council meets, as decisions are made, as the future is considered, Lord, I pray that you would allow them great unity, clarity, humility, a wisdom to hear and to understand, a discernment to know how to speak and how to lead. Lord, these are critical opportunities that come across our tables as we consider roles and responsibilities. Some of these things may seem trivial, some of them may seem overwhelming. But Lord, in all the things that are considered for this community, I pray that you would give great vision and insight. And Lord, that you would unite this group for the betterment of this community, not for political advantage. Lord, we see so much of that. It's Super Tuesday. We see so much of that going on across our country. And God, I pray that it would not be here, but instead that we would be together because our community has voted these people in to work together to serve this community for the future, for our kids, our grandkids, for the opportunities that we have with business and community leadership. And I pray that you would use even tonight to be an example and a shining beacon that sets a stage that's different than the world, that we do it differently here because we see a bigger picture. I thank you for the opportunity that Erlanger Baptist has to be in this community. And I pray that we would continue to be a blessing here and set an example as well. I thank you for Jesus Christ. In his name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, BJ. Please rise for the pledge. Ms. Hoffman, can you please take roll?
Mr. Burke? Mr. Cahill?
Present.
Ms. Kyle?
Here.
Mr. Skidmore? Ms. Sudkamp? Ms. Cahill? Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Ms. Skidmore? Ms. Pitts?
Here.
Mr. Nicely? Ms. Reckers?
Here.
Mr. Hermes?
Here.
Thank you, Kyla. I'm sorry. You are not Mrs. Hoffman. We have Kyla Graves today as a guest star for probably the third time, I think. So thanks for being here again. She's a senior at Notre Dame Academy, and she's here for government hours. So thanks for filling in. All right. So you've received a copy of the minutes for the February 4th, 2020 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Okay, seeing none, do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Mrs. Kyle, Mrs. Sedkamp. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, you also have received a copy of the agenda for the March 3rd, 2020 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Ms. Pitts?
Finance Committee asked if we could put the insurance premium tax decrease on the agenda since there's a time constraint. And we can decide tonight if you guys want to go through with it or not, but we thought we'd at least put it on there.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed?
No.
All right. Yes. Okay, are there any other additions to be made at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will add the insurance premium tax decrease to the legislation. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition? Mrs. Kyle, you have a second? Mr. Hermes? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, our first special presentation this evening is Ms. Janet Chambers with I Have Wings, and she is going to tell us a little bit about her organization and an upcoming event that they have.
So I guess if you could run the video, whoever has that. So you guys get to see this for the first time. How exciting.
One day you're living your life, and the next you're living with breast cancer. Have you ever felt more alone? Finding out that you have breast cancer is probably one of the most frightening things that can happen in your life. How will you take care of your family, your job, your marriage? Will you survive? There are so many questions, but you don't have to face them alone. My name is Janet Chambers. and I'm a breast cancer survivor. Like many others, I've had to face my fears and have since turned my journey into a path that I now share with others through the creation of I Have Wings Breast Cancer Foundation. Fighting cancer is stressful and life-changing, which is why we provide the support and education to ease the burden. Through our No One Goes Solo programs and the Thrive in 5 devotional, we provide guidance through a God-inspired process. Over 5 weeks, we examine the importance of rest, removing the garbage from your life, change, joy, and hope. With these tools, we provide breast cancer patients the direction and resources to guide them on their journey. I encourage you to read Thrive in 5, a guide to bringing healing to life in 5 weeks. Then visit our website, ihavewings.org, and learn what we do and get the details about our upcoming events. If you learn that you have breast cancer, there will be many things you will need to do. But one thing you won't have to do is to do it alone. Because with inspiration, no one goes solo. Are we good? So that is about the foundation, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of background. I am an Erlanger resident, have been for 24 years. My husband and I reside in Brightleaf, and I am the founder of I Have Wings. I wanted to just share, there's a couple little quotes in here that I think are really important. And I even give you a cheat sheet so you know who said them. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorites. And you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop and look fear in the face. But what are our fears? We don't really know until they are right there in front of us. So one day you're living, and the next you're living with breast cancer. So in 1999, that was my 40th birthday. Surprise, my husband took me to wine country. And the next picture is literally about 3 weeks later on my first chemo, right after I was diagnosed. And you can see down in the bottom here, that was about 3 weeks after that picture, and the only picture taken of me with no hair. And then up in the right there, you can see I'm wearing a wig in that picture. And then this one down here, my husband and I went fishing. And for all of you fishermen in the audience, my fish was literally this big. It was big, bigger than the one he caught. But my greatest fear was not facing breast cancer, and it was not actually just going through the process and the chemotherapy and the surgery and the radiation. My greatest fear was losing my hair. And I got to tell you, the day it fell out, it was like a weed blowing in the wind. And it was really something that will stick with me the rest of my life. And if you have more time later, I'll tell you the story of that day. Quite a roller coaster ride. So based on my own journey, I started I Have Wings in 2002. And we are dedicated to enrich lives of families going through a breast cancer diagnosis. And in 2002, we helped 4 families. And now we help way over 400 families. I think this year we probably have helped 600 families. And we are local, so we help families in our own neighborhoods first. So how do we do that? Well, first, we lend emotional support. We call each person individually. We send them a card. We give them a massage, an oncological massage. We give them my book so that they can do the devotional of 5 weeks to help get through it. And then we also give them a coloring book to help them emotionally get through it. That's all stuff that we give them in their care package. Right out of the gate.
And then we offer financial support. We have a holiday program, holiday meals. We do gas so they can get to and from treatments. So many people don't realize when you do radiation, it's every single day. And some of these people that say they live in Grant County and they're going to St. Elizabeth, so you don't know where these people have to go and how much they have to spend to get there just for one treatment. And then sometimes they have to go back the very next day to get a shot or something like that. So it's a double trip. We pay for wigs, prosthetics, lymphedema compression sleeves because self-confidence is so important. And based on my own journey, and I was ready, losing your hair is just critical. So we do a lot. We do Christmas presents. Sometimes we even get the Christmas tree, so we never know what we're getting into. During this time of year, we pay a lot of energy bills and phone bills and just help people get through. But we also have educational programs, free educational kits for the schools. And I go into the schools personally and teach kids about breast cancer. And if there's boys in the group, we talk about testicular cancer. We don't push back on anything. I let the kids ask anything they want. Events, scholarships. This little girl went to Lloyd. Health fairs, tons of health fairs. So we are really out in the community. And then another great quote, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Helen Keller. So one way you can help is to come to our event or support our event. Attend it, donate a basket if you have a company that you'd like to put a basket together for. Donate jewelry. I like to say we created a monster with this one, but wow, it is so much fun. We get donations of jewelry from all over the world, and we put it out at this event, and everything's $1. It is more fun than you can imagine. I even threw some pictures in there. It's called the Bling and Brew, and there's invites out there. And you can see we've partnered with 3 different breweries, Braxton, 50 West, and New Belgium. And then you can see all the jewelry we have is just hysterically fun. So there's something for the guys and something for the girls. This was just at the event. We also honor all the survivors that come to the event. There's about 450 people that attend. So I hope you all can support that event this year. And then one more great quote. Remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world. I'm just one person, and I started a foundation based on my own experiences back in 2002. And now we are regionally in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, and we help so many families. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate you being here. And your event is very fun. So there are invitations on the table out in the lobby, so feel free to pick one up on your way out. Okay, our next special presentation is the Fire and EMS Oath of Office ceremony.
Good evening. Thank you. We have the pleasure of swearing in 4 new personnel tonight. We'll start with Jacob Schaefer. Jacob? Jacob's a graduate of Simon Kenton High School. Came to us, started his fire service career in Edgewood, and we actually were lucky enough to get him from Campbell County District 1. He's joined tonight by his parents, David and Diane, his girlfriend Ashley, and he's going to be on green shift. And next we have Sheila Jones. Sheila is also a firefighter paramedic. She's a graduate of Ryle High School. Kind of a rival to my Boone County, but that's okay. Her parents are here, Jenny and Mark. They are present, and also her children, Blake and Anna. We were lucky enough to get Sheila from Ellesmere full-time, and she's assigned to green shift as well. Next we have Elijah Mays. Elijah is a graduate of Ludlow High School. started his fire service career in Ludlow and Park Hills. He's here with a lot of people tonight, so hopefully I don't forget anybody. His mother, Stephanie, father, JR, stepmom, Shelley, along with his girlfriend, Amy, and kids. Also his brothers, TJ and Jackson. Elijah also spent some time in the Marine Corps from 2007 to 2011, and he is assigned to Blue Shift. And Kyle Rule. Kyle is a graduate of Highlands High School and is joined here tonight, as Kyle put it, a whole gang of people. As Mom Cheryl, Aunt Michelle, Donna, his neighbor, his girlfriend Mackenzie. Did I miss anybody? Welcome. Kyle started his fire service career in Southgate as a volunteer, and we were lucky enough to get him, and he is assigned to Red Shift. All in all, we've got 4 excellent additions, and please help us welcome them to our Erlanger family tonight.
Okay, so I'm going to read all 4 of your names at the same time, okay? Okay, do you, Jacob Schaefer, Sheila Jones, Elijah Mays, and Kyle Rule solemnly swear to do your duty as a firefighter, EMT, or paramedic for the City of Erlanger to the best of your ability, to serve your commanding officers with respect and dignity, to serve the citizens of the City of Erlanger with compassion, courage, and integrity, and to uphold the laws and constitutions of the United States of America, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the City of Erlanger, so help you God. Congratulations. Okay, next on the agenda is our comments from those other than council. Dave, do we have anybody on the list? Thank you, Dave. Okay. Okay, we have Mike and Sherry Moffett. If you'd like to come to the podium and state your full name. There'll be a, Dave, can you help them with the, there you go.
Thank you for this time. Our big concern was we had an incident that happened at our home here in Erlanger with a set of pit bulls back in January that came to our yard.
Sir, can you come closer to the microphone, please?
That,
Me back up.
don't move. That came to our yard, 2 pit bulls, and attacked our dog. it actually, if it wasn't for the neighbors coming over and helping out, they would have killed the dog. We ended up with expenses over $4,000 to save the dog. It's actually my son's dog. And the biggest concern we had was we had nothing, we couldn't do anything. When it happened in the afternoon. We had to rush the dog immediately to the hospital because it tore up the stomach and bites over the body. There was two of them that attacked our dog. And the next morning we called the Erlanger Police Department, only to find out there was nothing we could do. We knew where the dog lived. We had talked to the owners of the dog, which well, I guess the wife of the family, she was a good woman and everything. But we had great concerns because we have a wireless fence, electronic collars in ours. So our dogs stay in our yard. But when we reported it, they said we couldn't do anything. We had to report it to the animal department. So we reported to the animal department, Kenton County. They came over. They said basically they couldn't do anything either. They said, we'll go down to the house and we'll look. You know, we have to look, see if they can get out of their yard or whatever. And the owners told us there was a hole in the fence and they would fix it that day. So we were told that to them. But yet there was still nothing we could do about any of it. So then we called the county. And of course, then the county told us we should call the animal place again. So we called the animal place again. They did come back over, and where I understand they may have cited them, but we don't know because we never got a report of anything happening or whatever. And I guess the main concern is that it really is, if a dog comes in our yard and attacks one of our dogs, or we feel in danger. Basically, what I got out of it is we could shoot the dogs if we want to. I don't think everybody wants to go out and shoot people's dogs when they come in their yard. But I have a great concern because they said we have to call 911 if a dog comes in our yard also. Because one way the officers could do anything would be to see the dogs in our yard attacking it. Well, I think that's kind of, it's not reasonable because if we waited long, called 911, had came, our dog been dead and their dogs have been away, and there'd be absolutely nothing we can do. I don't know what the answer is, but I know it isn't what it is happening now. I mean, it's fortunate that the owners did pay for about half of the expenses that occurred. And I guess looking for not only, we feel in danger because now we've got two pit bulls down the street from us. And our dogs, we feel we can't really let our dogs in the yard anymore.
Mr. Moffett, was this the incident that happened on the 7th of January?
I think somewhere in January. I think
is
we
it-
reported it.
This phone number is correct on here. If you,
Yes.
if you would, if we can, I can have either the PD or probably our code enforcement officer call you tomorrow. And let me try to see, they might have a little history on it too. And we'll get back with you definitely tomorrow, and then let me follow up on it and see if there's anything else, if that's okay with you. Because I do see it's documented here. So let's, if you don't mind, if you can give me a little time to do a little research, and then we'll see if we can help you in that situation.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
I do have one little thing I wanted to say, and this is not the same subject, but about 8 months ago, on a weekend, on a Saturday night, somebody smashed the back window of my van. Does not do it though. But, so I didn't notice till Sunday morning, somebody threw a rock and the rock was sitting there. And I did call the after hours Erlanger Police Department and went to recording. I never heard anything from the police department. Not once, not, they never, nobody came by. I waited all day 'cause I thought, well, somebody probably drive by and look at it, so I left the glass and the rock and everything there and finally gave up on it Monday morning. That was just
Okay, well,
something I don't know.
in the future, if you get a recording, either it's the wrong number or something else is going on, you can always just dial 911, and that'll take it to dispatch.
Well, I didn't know if I called 911 to report something happened.
Yep,
I could
when in,
report
when in doubt, just call 911. The non-emergency and 911 is gonna go to the same person.
Okay.
One's just gonna have priority over the other. But if the non-emergency number goes to a voicemail, just always call 911. You're not gonna make anybody mad by
Thank
doing that, okay?
it. Okay.
All right, thank you.
for your time.
Yes, ma'am?
I am finding this becoming a very, very difficult problem in our city. I've had several people contact me to tell me that when they tried to reach the police department, that they were either sent, the emergency crews were either sent to a different location, or, I mean, Mrs. Donovan up the street from me, her husband was having a stroke, and she lives right at the end of Graves, and the dispatcher told her they don't have a Graves Avenue. And, I mean, so I've heard like 4 incidents, so I don't know if we need to publicly tell everybody again, because we had our own dispatch system for years, and people were used to calling that specific police department number. So maybe we just need to put something on our Facebook or something.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Just for, especially council, when you do get those complaints, I need to know about them immediately. That way we can track what the call was. We can pull tape from dispatchers. We've done that multiple times. You know, it is going to happen, but we
Yeah.
definitely need to notify, because you'll see a trend if we can keep doing that. You know, there might be some training issues for certain dispatchers.
Will
so
do.
Please
Will
forward
do.
them all to me. Thank you.
for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kramer, I just had a question. Do we know if these dogs were registered with the city?
I don't.
We don't know.
I know that there was a
Okay.
call on the 7th. That's all I was able to pull up. That's why I want to do a little research between codes and police to see if they've been registered in our, I can pull up our database now, but I won't know until I know the owner of the dogs.
Okay.
Okay. Next on the agenda is mayor's report. I'm just going to keep on moving. City administrator's report. Mr. Kramer, do you have anything to report?
I do. Mr. Glenn and myself will have a parks plan that's going to be sent out later this week. I'll be down in Frankfurt tomorrow, but we should have it sent out by Thursday. So with this current budget, we had placed in it a plan to look at 3 different parks. So we do have the plan from VOX and VOX for Silver Lake and Rainbow. Mr. Glenn and I have looked at both of those, and we have put together some options to either phase in certain plans or some other things you guys might be interested in, the council. So I'm going to go ahead and email out, like I said I would do last meeting. Between then and the meeting, if you would, either get with me or Peter and give us some of your ideas, your feedback, so we can kind of implement that into the plan and the presentation that we're going to give in the March committee meeting. So, you know, this is by no means putting out what we're going to do, but we are soliciting feedback, and we do want to give you an idea of what we're thinking at this point. So the only other thing is I will be going down to Frankfurt tomorrow. We've got a meeting, me and a handful of other city administrators from up in Northern Kentucky to talk about the CRS separation. So I'll be down in Frankfurt tomorrow to do that. If there's any other things you would like me to bring up, by all means get with me. Houston Road's going to be another one I'll be bringing up while I'm down there. So if anybody's questions, that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Glenn, would you like to give a report on capital projects, please?
Are we skipping Mr. Gatlin?
Excuse me, sorry.
Since she skipped herself, she'll skip it on
City
people, too.
Attorney. City Attorney, excuse me.
I have nothing to report other than, well, I'll follow the trend of the mayor here.
Now, Mr. Glenn.
There we go. All right, Mayor, Council, thank you for this opportunity. They talk about Public Works and what we're doing. Just a quick recap of the MARF hearing that we had tonight just to let you know that our street capital fund that we have every year is a portion that's comprised of MARF money. And this year, this upcoming budget year, we'll be getting $374,621. And a little bit different that what you'll see in our budget presentation coming up will be a line item for MARF separate from our Capitol Street project that'll help Public Works employees better manage our projects financially. Exciting news. We have curb on the Houston Road North and Erlanger Road intersection. So that is now completed. So that was done in order to help curtail the tractor trailers that were going up and ending up on Erlanger Road and then coming back up through the Cherry Hill subdivision and causing havoc with all the neighbors up there. I mean, it was really bad with the tractor trailers going in yards and knocking down our signs on sometimes a weekly basis. So the curb is in place, and you'll see some other improvements there as far as signage and things like that. And I think that's going to be a great benefit for us. And lastly, we're having a public workshop. I think everybody has an email invitation to, so that is March 12th here in council chambers at 4 to 6 p.m. And what that is just an opportunity for Public Works and city engineer and his staff to meet with residents on the affected streets to gather input from them, and so that way we could go back and tweak the drawings in their final stages and make any kind of changes necessary. And the streets that we're going to be having this public workshop pertaining to will be Carriage Hill, Delphi Drive, Mesa Drive, and Valleywood Court. So we invite everybody to come out, kind of take a look at where we're spending our capital tax dollars and provide any input. And that's all I have. Any questions? Yes.
First, thank you for the curb. That's exciting. Hopefully it helps. Second, so this public workshop, is this only for people that live on those streets? Is it for anybody in the city?
Well, anybody that would, I mean, typically we kind of focus on people living in that immediate vicinity, but anybody that would want to come and kind of see what we're doing and how we do it, we would welcome that for sure.
So it's Carriage, Delphi, Mesa, and Valleywood?
In Valleywood Court, yes,
Court,
ma'am.
okay.
And we hand deliver letters to all the residents out there, and we kind of expand the area a little bit, hitting in adjoining properties and anybody that might be using these roadways as pass-throughs or whatnot. Gary?
Yeah, I just had a question about the MARF funding, that $374,000. Is that contingent upon us spending the 2.25, or is that not contingent upon any of our spending?
Okay, so what that is our funding, our capital funding will not be 2.25 out of the general fund. It will be less than that. So our street capital from the general fund plus the MARF money will equal the 2.25.
Okay, well, I guess I'll ask the question a different way. If we decide that instead of doing $2.25 million in road projects, that we want to cut that back and it's $1.5 million, what happens with the MARF funding? Is that reduced as well?
You mean what happens here? I would say that we could change our plan. This is a good faith plan. If we make tweaks and things to it, that would be allowable. If it was a dramatic change, that might require more of another public hearing, to get input from the residents if we were to do that. Any kind of drastic change, and I guess I would refer to Jack on his his advice on that.
You're talking about the MRF money that doesn't change. That's the money that's given to us by the state.
Okay, so if we decide we don't want to do $2.2 million in road projects this year, when we get to the budget time, we're still okay with the MRF money?
The MRF money is always going to be there.
Okay,
Yeah, and I
Until
guess I
we-
was talking specifically to if we need to do anything public hearing wise.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, so we still had latitude to do budget wise whatever we want. Okay,
Any other questions? Renee?
yes.
I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I don't know if with living on this side of town, we have Commonwealth and Dixie. If the tractor trailers are going south on Dixie and they're making a right onto Commonwealth, they can't make that turn. They're chewing the curb up. They're going to hit one of those buildings on the corner one of these days.
They
And
have.
I don't know, well, I mean,
They
you know,
did.
I don't know whether you need to move the white stop line back, because they even have to wait until the center lane gets empty to swing out and make that turn so that the rest of their truck will make the turn. I don't know whose problem that is, but it's tearing the roads up, tearing the curbs up.
Well, it's certainly our community, so, you know, it's really up to us and what we want to do. And, of course, you know, both being state roads, we could, you know, petition the state to see what they could do as far as any kind of intersection redesign or stop bar, you know, relocation and things like that to help, you know. But basically, it's a turn and radius issue. You know, it's a tight 90-degree turn for those trucks, and, you know, you know, they get up on the sidewalk with their back tires, and it's tough for them. I mean, they do that even when they're going out of their lane, you know, into the oncoming traffic on Commonwealth. So I don't know if it ever could be resolved to where, but, you know, the stop bar issue would, you know, if they brought them back a little bit, it would not hurt. Yeah.
We're talking about federal and state highways here, so it's
Yeah.
really out of our hands on a lot of it, but we can definitely influence with District 6. So
But it's a
I think that's
designated-
another conversation we can have.
But it's a designated route to the expressway off of Dixie Highway on Commonwealth, correct? It's a designated detour route.
I guess
get-
during detours, I don't know if there's ever an actual designation for that, but I mean, it's a
I
state,
thought
it's a state highway.
I thought I read that somewhere. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
I'm not aware of any, but good question, though.
Okay, any other
Okay.
questions for Mr. Glenn? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, do we have any reports of task forces?
I have my Kenton County Alliance report. We had 35 in attendance, and we talked about marijuana legalization in Kentucky. House Bill 136 was voted on. The count was 17-1 in favor of medicinal marijuana. Representative Moser was the only no vote. Governor Beshear is for the approval of medical marijuana. The House is friendly, but the Senate is against it. One of the quirks is that local governments must choose to opt in instead of opting out. So that's kind of a little bit of a turn there. They want medicinal marijuana to be at least 1,000 feet from a school. Opioid use for autism disorder is included in the amendments at this time. As it stands now, booths at fairs or informational seminars could display their info. Local cities could control some of the restrictions, such as placements of the dispensers and restrictions about placing information at community events. Proper taxation could affect the farmers who grow the marijuana, and it could follow the tobacco tax. No homegrown marijuana at this time. There have been a few cases where the allowed farmer growing the crop has been cross-contaminated by illegal growers. The state of Kentucky has until September 2020 to tighten up the wording and fine-tune the legislation. There is obviously lots of hurdles to jump before this can actually become a bill. And the next meeting is April the 14th, 2020, at noon at the Kenton County Library in Erlanger. End of report.
Hey, Ms. Skidmore, I got a question for you. I don't know if the Kenton County Alliance had any input or comments around Kentucky House Bill 415. That's the out-of-state shipping of liquor into Kentucky through internet sales. Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't, well, I wasn't sure if they had a position or anything on that or had mentioned anything about it in the Kenton County Alliance.
I will send an email to Diane O'Toole.
Thanks.
So did the Kenton County Alliance take a position on the medical marijuana?
I'm sorry. I wanted to say that the reason I believe that Representative Moser was the only no vote, she may have been in favor of part of the medicinal legislation, but she wasn't in favor of all of it, so she just voted no.
I think she voted no in the committee. However, when it actually went to the House, all of the Northern Kentucky Republicans voted no except for Savannah Maddox. So Adam Koenig and Representative Banta, Mosier, they all voted no as well. Just
Okay.
FYI. That was when it went to the House. Mosier was the only one that voted no in the committee. You were there for that. All right, any other questions for Mrs. Skidmore? Okay. Mr. Cahill?
The Facilities Task Force met yesterday. We are getting some information together. We'll be meeting again on the 30th at 1 o'clock. And with that committee meeting, we'll be bringing some recommendations back to council.
Ms. Pitts?
I'll kind of tag on to what she was saying. When we went to Frankfurt last month, we actually went to a marijuana meeting down at the Capitol, and one of the things they talked about that, because I've been very much on board with medicinal, but one of the things that they're worried about is doctors are worried about there's not enough studies with interactions with current drugs that people are taking, and that's why they're all really hesitant about passing it. But we did sit there and watch the vote. We were up in the balcony watching it, so that was kind of cool. One of the things we also did was we met with several of our state representatives, and we basically hounded them about Stevenson Road and New Houston Road, and they all were very much in agreement with us on this. And State Rep Adam Koenig said that he's diligently working on getting both of these projects on the upcoming House budget.
Small Business Task Force is put together with Triad and the Cabinet for Economic Development, it's a small business information session for an underutilized tax credit. It is for small business owners only that have under 50 employees. So we're hosting it here. Next Wednesday, you can RSVP through our Facebook page, is where we shared the link to the Eventbrite to RSVP. But we're inviting all Erlanger businesses, of course, and any businesses from other neighboring cities that want to have business owners attend. Anyone, it's just an underutilized tax credit, an opportunity to hear more about it and see if the people qualify. So
What day is that again?
it's the 11th
3/11.
from 10 to 11 right here in Chamber.
All right. Mr. Hermes?
I've got something that isn't necessarily a task force, but something I wanted to make people aware of. Mr. Kramer and I have been working on an employee incentive that would be centered around the employees who live here inside the city, and also to try to encourage other employees to live inside Erlanger. It's in the initial stages of development. Mr. Kramer has done a lion's share of the work on it and has done a great job so far. But I wanted to open it up in case any other council members wanted to have input or involvement with this in the development process.
Thank you. The task force for the murals has recently put together the Inspire to Design mural contest with our gracious sponsors VX and VX, as well as Greek to Me. It's going to be going up on the wall that is along Dixie Highway, right out in front of Hallam by the Forest Lawn Cemetery, about 150 feet long wall. And so we have the marketing out there, the scholarship packet. There's also a scholarship included, $1,000 to the mural contest winner. The deadline to put your designs in is April 15th, and it's open to any Erlanger senior in high school, as well as any undergraduate art degree major at any college, as long as their primary residence is in Erlanger. So we look forward to some awesome ideas for this beautiful opportunity, and we'll get some more information about that soon. Patty, do you want to talk about your idea, the railroad, or do you want to hold off?
Sure. This is like, I'm almost afraid to talk about it because it's been my dream for so many years. But it looks as though it may come to fruition that we finally get the railroad underpass painted. And I can't tell you how difficult this railroad has been. We are not allowed to touch the rust, so we have to embrace the rust. And Matt laughed when I said that, but I don't know how else to put it. We are not allowed to touch the structure itself at all. We can't hang banners, we can't put up a facade, we can't do anything with the railroad itself. But we can do murals underneath the underpass. And I have a cherished friend that happens to be a University of Kentucky graduate. She went to school in Erlanger. I've known her grandparents for 56 years. And so she came and did a presentation today, and we are all very excited about her ideas. So pending the repair that is going to be required through Mr. Glenn and his amazing staff to prevent all of the leakage and all of the above. So she has a nice palette to work with. She's got some amazing ideas, and I just can't be any more excited. I want this to be my going away present to the city of Erlanger. That is all.
Thanks, Patty. Appreciate it. Wait.
We don't have public comment right now. Sir, we don't have public comment right now. That's passed. But if after the meeting, we can get with you and, okay.
Okay, are there any other reports of task forces?
It's not a task force comment, but Karina and I had been approached by a couple residents wondering when the Doe Run trails are closed right now. And we had questions, and I know people have reached out to Peter Glenn. So I spoke to Scott Gunning. He's with Kenton County, and that area is managed by the Conservation District. And with all the flooding and washouts, that's what's caused a lot of the damage. I know at the end of the month there's a cleanup that's a volunteer effort. And once the weather breaks, they'll be able to get back there and at least assess the damage. We don't have a timeline for any sort of repair or trail reopening at this time, but at least they're aware. They're aware that there's issues back there. They just have to be able to get back there with a gator and check it out. But that's, so if any of your residents are asking, our residents are asking about a timeline, we're not able to provide that. But once the weather gets better, they'll have a better estimated endpoint for that. So,
Thanks. Okay, anybody else? Mrs. Kyle.
This isn't a report, but on my way to the council meeting tonight, my husband called me and he said, our Erlanger police are on the news. So kudos to them, and if we get a chance, I hope they're going to be on tonight so I can watch it. But it has to do with the drug bust that they've been doing and the weapons that they've been finding. So if you get a chance tonight to watch the news, watch for the Erlanger police. They're doing a great job. Thanks. He didn't say what channel, so I don't know.
Mr. Nicely?
Me now?
Yes, sir.
Some time ago, Mr. Hermie wanted to paint the railroad bridge on Dixie Highway. That was a no. Okay? But I noticed Newport, on the new highway they put in up there with the junkyard or whatever, Newport has got a sign that covers the side of the railroad bridge. They put it on the railroad bridge. Huh? That belongs to CSX, I think.
That's correct. That's a CSX.
But if the CSX would let them do it, why wouldn't the Southern let you put a sign up on?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, Norfolk Southern. Thanks.
This is Southern up here.
Yeah, but the one in Newport is CSX.
That's right.
Norfolk Southern will not allow us to put, we've asked that. We've actually even shown graphics of, putting different tarps that would display messages, welcome to Erlanger, things like that, that would cover the rusted steel in the past, but they won't let us do that.
Did you ever think about asking Southern, CSX, Lex Newport, and this is a big billboard sign that covers the whole bridge, just to tack it up there?
Yeah.
Mr. Nicely, I was on the Renaissance Committee for probably 15 years, and I tried to work with this railroad to accomplish anything, and just, it's their railroad, it's their way or the highway.
About the only headway we've ever made is that they'll let us paint it if we want to take it upon ourselves. There's issues with the existing steel and the lead paint that are on it, and would have to be abated before we would be able to paint it. And that's extraordinary costs for the hazardous lead abatement.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you're true. But if CSX would let them do it, maybe you should threaten the Southern that if they get CSX come through here instead of Southern.
We got to be very careful with this railroad. They own a lot of property that we have businesses on.
I'm glad you say that.
Oh, Lord, sorry,
This may
sorry,
be
guys, so
This
sorry.
may be a good discussion for a committee meeting.
I'm finished.
Agreed.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other task forces? Okay. Mrs. Hoffman, do you have any correspondence to share this evening?
I do. Mayor Fetty and her Leadership Academy received a letter from Roger Babick, the president of Master Provisions, thanking them for their donations and support in 2019. They donated $516.39. And just a little background on Master Provisions. Through the generosity of donations, it helps them to further their mission and serve more people. And last year, they distributed 3.9 million pounds of food to 176 nonprofits with the help of 4,828 volunteers. So that's a really great amount, $516.
Thanks, Ms. Hoffman. Appreciate it.
If you go to the Colonial Cottage, you can donate to Master Provisions, and I just think that's, more companies should do that. I mean, who's going to miss that little bit of change that you would have gotten back? But how much good it can do. I think the world of this organization.
Yeah, I think it's called, is it Roundup? Where you round up your bill? Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. All right, any other correspondence? Okay.
The Master Provisions, the fellow that's in charge, the last name is Babick. And he actually spoke at the Optimist group down at Pee Wee's. That's how I know that, so just wanted to make sure that his name got out there the right way.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Hoffman, are there any bids tonight?
No, ma'am.
Does anybody have any unfinished business to discuss? All right, any new business? Oh, okay.
Sorry. I won't be able to make it to the March 17th meeting, so I was informed today that I have a mandatory work function in Louisville. But I wanted to bring up some things about the bathroom, the restroom, and so I wanted to know if I could just bring a few things up tonight before Peter makes the new presentation, just a few ideas. Again, I want to remind everybody, I think the design you made is excellent, and I'm just not happy with the price, and that's all I have against that. Everything else is great. We spent a lot of time at Idlewild Park out in Burlington, and I noticed when I was out there, they have all portlets, and I never even realized that till we were out there. So for me, if you could, when you make your design, can you also make one that's just on a cheaper end, that just utilizes 2 stalls in each one and just maybe fixes the plumbing and just minimal, just as one of your designs, if you could present that to us too? Because I don't want to, I want the focus on the park plan to be on the entire park instead of on the restroom. That's just my opinion. But the other thing I wanted you to look into was, I was watching a documentary, and they were talking about putting blue lights in restrooms, which prevents people from shooting up drugs because they can't see their veins. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I've heard there can be some bads with it too, because some might still do it and then they hurt themselves. So I don't know. I didn't know if that's something we wanted to look into, because I know people have complained about that happening in restrooms. Well, yeah, but if it's a right fix, I don't know. And the only other thing I wanted to know is if there's any way, or if you guys thought it was a good idea, if we put a sign in each restroom that maybe for people that are having, or hard times, to maybe direct them like to our social workers' phone number, contact if you need help or assistance, this is a phone number you can contact. So I just didn't know if that was something you'd consider too. So that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Being, someone who puts together prices on commercial construction almost every day, I know it can be especially difficult to try to hit the right number magically, pulling it out of the air, because the right number typically is unicorn, like it doesn't exist. Is there a number you have in mind, Mrs. Pitts, that maybe you could give Peter some direction? Like, where would it be acceptable, in your opinion, as far as the cost?
I'm 250, 300. I don't know. I have no clue what these costs are, if that's even a reasonable request.
It at least gives them a goal.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I would have brought this up on the 17th, but I can't be there.
Excuse me. Since we opened this up, I have a question. If Peter Glenn could actually figure out, is it possible to make 2 bathrooms, one on one end and one on the other, and just have them, they'd be comparable, but, I mean, you got to realize if there's older people and I'm in that group, if that park's like, what is it, 2,000 feet long, and you got 1 bathroom, you need to separate them out and put them on each end, or...
Renee?
Yes.
Since our talk, when you brought that up to us, we've included that, and that's
Oh,
going to
okay.
be an option. So when we do the full presentation in 2
I'll
weeks.
I'll hold off.
We will have a lot of different options to kind of gauge where council is feeling. Along with the bathroom, like Mr. Hermie was talking about, I've priced out other cities around here. Edgewood just replaced one that they call it kind of a plug and play. It's really a bathroom that they bring out there and just hook it all up, and that was around $250,000, and that was a single stall in each one. So that's just so you know, and that was a very, and I'll have that picture. I've got that picture too. It's a very basic block building, just to kind of know where the prices are nowadays. But again, Mr. Glenn and I will discuss it more in 2 weeks.
Okay. Is
Sorry,
there
I
any-
didn't mean to interrupt, but I was telling Patty, I said, do you remember the bathrooms when we were kids? You'd go over to Cincinnati shopping, and they had a special super clean toilet that you could use for a quarter. Yeah, or a dime or something. I don't remember exact price, but
Were the
you had to
others
pay.
dirty ones?
Are you
or
wanting
what? I mean,
pay to use? Is that what we're trying to
was
do in the
paid.
city of Erlanger?
Bizarre.
No, I'm not
Because
saying
we can
that.
do an analysis on that. But that's what we're looking for. We have derailed.
Totally derailed. Talk about the Train City. We are off the rails. Okay, new business. Anybody have any new business for this evening? Seeing none, we'll continue to legislation.
All right, we have the Atlas Airway Ordinance, which is an ordinance changing the name of the road Vioxx Road to Atlas Airway. The ordinance is, just as it says, it will change to Atlas Airway, and we're making this effective April 1. This is a second reading.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this ordinance as read? Mrs. Kyle, Mr. Hermes, any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I get the sign, but I'm not going to vote for this.
we would have to surplus it, right? That's between you and Mr. Glenn.
Okay. I think we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Sudkamp?
With stipulation, yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Skidmore?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Kyle?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Nicely? Ms. Cahill? Ms. Pitts?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Reckers?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hermes?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next we have a first reading on an ordinance modifying Section 3102 of the Erlanger Code of Ordinances and ordinance number 2156 related to compensation of elected officials. The underlined portions are to be added and portions stricken are to be removed. You can see here that what's changing is that the base compensation will be $3167.76 per year, and that each member of the City Council shall also receive $50 per regularly scheduled City Council meeting, special meeting of the City Council, and regularly scheduled City Council meetings. This meeting pay will be up to a maximum of $100 a month for each City Council member. There shall be 2 paid absences allowed per calendar year. Also, it states there's a little tweak into the consumer price index adjustment. This is just a first reading.
Okay, Mrs. Hoffman, if you can please note in the minutes that the first reading has been read.
All right, next we have an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, creating a humane retirement for the non-human canine units. This ordinance establishes a fund to maintain the canine units. The Erlanger Police Department shall maintain a $2,000 per fiscal year budget for retired canine animals, including reasonable expenses, and the canine handler shall supply receipts to the Erlanger Chief of Police or his designate prior to reimbursement of any of the expenses within 30 days of incurring the expense. This also is a first reading.
Okay, Mrs. Hoffman, please note in the minutes that the first reading of this ordinance has been read.
May I just, is that going to, money, chief?
Yes, it's going to be
Okay.
enough money. Assistant Chief Lemming did the analysis, and he's averaging about $1,100 a year.
All right, next we have an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, amending ordinances 2197 and 2246 and Section 34 of the Code of Ordinances to adjust the amount of the annual educational scholarship. There's two changes being made here. One is that the scholarship during the month of May instead of April is when the scholarship will be awarded, and two, the change increases the amount from $1,500 to $2,500. Again, this is just a first reading.
Mrs. Hoffman, I asked,
I would like to make a quick request on this, that I would like to discuss this a little bit more at our committee meeting on the 17th. I guess I would like to accompany this with a municipal order that would establish how we, or who the judges are made up of, and how we assign those people. I mean, since we are talking about spending tax dollars, I don't know that there's too many people on this council that know who's even a judge for the scholarship, and nor do we know like how long they've been there or how they even got appointed to this.
okay, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
And just for record clarifications, I would just say that this is a first reading. We certainly can supplement at our next council meeting with any other legislation that the council might want to attach to that.
Okay, and I just want to have Mrs. Hoffman note that we've read the first reading.
All right, fine. Next ordinance would be an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, amending ordinances 1810 and 2241 and Section 1303 of the Erlanger Code of Ordinances to reduce the insurance premium tax to 9.75%. This was the ordinance that was added tonight by majority of council, and it's very simple. It just is reducing the amount currently imposed on all of the various areas in which the insurance premium tax is issued from 10%, reduces it 0.25% to 9.75%.
Okay, Mrs. Hoffman, I ask that you note in the minutes the first reading of this ordinance.
All right, next we have a municipal order of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. And you can see the attached schedule shows that it is a 2009 F-450 Horton ambulance, which is being disposed because of age and condition, and the disposal method would be sold by electronic auction.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this municipal order as read? Mr. Hermes, Mrs. Sedkamp, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Gary.
Just wanted to clarify on the first reading that we did on the insurance premium tax that for this to be effective, it has to be effective by March 27th, so we will have to have did you already deal with that issue? Okay, then I will shut up.
Yeah, I can do it right now.
All
I'd like
right.
to call for a special meeting to do second reading on them, that I probably won't be able to attend.
All right, so that'll be done at before the
17th.
17th committee meeting. All right. Sorry, did not mean to steal your thunder there. All right. Just did not want to omit that.
Jack, I think that's actually the 22nd. It's 100 days in advance of July 1st.
Fine. We just need to pass it at the next meeting, if it's going to be passed. All right. All right. Next, we have the Municipal Road Aid Cooperative Program Agreement. This resolution is adopting and approving the execution of a municipal aid co-op program contract between the Incorporated City and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020. And that amount, as previously discussed, is $374,621.73. And we get that regardless.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution as read? Mr. Hermes, Mrs. Sedkamp, all in favor say, or excuse me, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Finally, we have a resolution by the City of Erlanger petitioning the Governor and General Assembly for relief from the increases in actuarially required pension contributions. This resolution, in some shape or form, is being passed by the majority of cities in northern Kentucky, and my understanding is it kind of comes from some of the discussions that you all had in Frankfurt a week or two ago. In essence, the resolution requests the Governor and General Assembly as follows. 1, to place a freeze on increases in the actuarially required contribution to CERS. 2, to direct the KRS Board to conduct an independent experience study for the CERS system so that the assumptions, rates, and goals of CERS can be reset based on a transparent, unbiased, factual analysis. 3, to direct that the investment strategies for CERS funds be based solely on CERS circumstances and not be subject to the restrictions and limitations applicable to KERS. 4, after patient, well-considered further study, determine the future path forward for the soundness of the CERS pension system within reasonable fiscal capabilities of Kentucky's local governments.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution as presented? Mr. Cahill, Mrs. Kyle. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Are there any announcements for this evening? Okay. Then do I entertain a motion that we adjourn? Mrs. Kyle? Mrs. Sedkamp? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Have a good night.